How have you been, man? How's the week? How was Bristol?
It was great. I had some really good meetings with some suits. Had some meeting with the suits. They're happy. They haven't fired me, so that's good. I think they're about to make me one of the as busy as I've ever been in my entire life. We got a lot coming up. Typically, this is where my year winds down, and it's really about to just ramp up with the Texas Clemson game next week, and then you're going to see this ugly mug all over Scott Van Pelt. I'm going to be making appearances on Scott Van Pelt in D.C., post-quarterfinals, semifinals, national championship. They're sending me back to Bristol for some studio wraps. We got the Alamo Bowl. We got the Gator Bowl. It's going to be a busy, busy December and January. That's all right. Oh, hey, I have a random question real quick.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
On your intro,
yes,
somebody says, like, let's go.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's let's go. What is it?
I can't remember it now. I only made that like 7 years ago.
Is it let's go to work?
Let's go to work, yeah.
Is that what he says? Let's go to work.
Yeah.
Let's go to work. Is there any way, and I could be dead wrong because I'm sure there's a gajillion people that have said that. It sounds, Lance Briggs was my teammate in Chicago for 4 years.
It is Lance Briggs.
It sounds just like Lance Briggs. Is that my boy Briggs? Is that Briggs?
Yeah.
It is?
Because I got it off a sound thing.
How about that?
And the sound thing said Chicago Bears, Lance Briggs fires things up.
It's my guy.
I can't believe you got that.
It's my guy.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He had a huddle. It's like an NFL film thing, and he's got everyone getting fired up. It's like, it's time to go to work.
Borderline Hall of Famer. I think he had 6 or 7 Pro Bowls. Urlacher obviously was the key linebacker on those defenses, but Briggs was right there, man. He was right there. Excellent player, former Arizona Wildcat. So what do we got? Oh, I got one more question for you. Sorry,
go ahead.
The random question.
Yeah, sure.
When we talked last Friday,
I
was about to go do the American Championship game, which was awesome.
It was great, man.
Was
you
incredible.
Did a great job.
Thank you.
I meant to text you and tell you were awesome.
Oh, you don't need to do that. I wasn't awesome. Army was awesome, and West Point was awesome. To heck with me, it's about those guys. And as you know, and I did not run into your son, which I never saw him. But I had my head on a swivel. I was looking.
You would know.
But we never crossed paths. Did he get a chance? Was he one of the cadets that stormed the field afterward? I got video of all that, of them singing the song, of them storming the field. Did he come down or stay in the stands?
So I haven't been able to confirm yet. So here's the process. Just on my son, he turned 21 on Saturday.
Oh boy.
So he turned 21 on Saturday night at midnight, and so we all did the whole happy birthday thing on Sunday, and the text, Dusty. So he turns 21, and then they have their finals, and he had a couple of big ones. And so then after their finals are done on Thursday night, last night, they have and I don't know if they told you about this, but they have an end-of-semester dinner that they do in that dining hall.
Yep.
And where they have all of their meals. Guys, when you're at West Point, you eat all of your meals in the same place, and everybody eats together. It's one of the coolest things ever. So and then afterwards, I don't know if they drink, but I know they smoke cigars and they celebrate, and they have a little party afterwards. So I haven't really had a chance to catch up with him. Okay. But the funniest thing ever was twofold. Number one, I was texting him during the game, and I was like, "You guys got to storm the field." Yeah. I text him, and he's like, "I'm going home. It's too cold." was what he said.
Okay.
Which I don't. I think
cold.
he was just saying that because I don't think you're allowed to just leave. I don't think you're allowed to leave. Number two, he then, when I called him Sunday to tell him happy birthday, he goes, "Hey, when is your friend going to be here from ESPN?" And I'm like, he never reads anything, Dusty.
Right.
Never listens
They're
to
kids.
me. I'm like,
what are you gonna do?
he's gone. What do you mean? When's he going to be? He was there for the game Saturdays or Fridays. Like, oh, sorry. So
it's all good.
Happy birthday, Will. But he did not, I don't think, come out of the stands to storm the field. Though he's all about that clout, so he might. There might be a selfie of him somewhere with the Army quarterback. Hey, and by the way, speaking of that, Army and Navy tomorrow. Yes. Are you going to D.C. or are you here?
I had the opportunity. I opted to stay. It's been 15 straight weeks, I've had a game, and then got one next weekend, got one the following weekend. I just thought, you know what, we're gonna chill. I'm actually hanging out with the wife. We need some mom and dad time. We got invited. Some friends of ours have a suite for the Zach Bryan concert tomorrow night in Tulsa. So we are going to Tulsa to take in a little Zach Bryan. So I'm gonna watch Army Navy. I got Army, by the way, shocker, and then we're gonna go have a little fun. I feel like Travis Hunter is gonna win the Heisman Trophy. So I'm sure the storytelling by my good friend Marty Smith will be fantastic. But I'm gonna step away from the college football scene tomorrow night and have some fun.
If you could do that again next year, so maybe they can get further enough down the depth chart so I can go. But in all seriousness, you've been there. I went last year.
It's amazing.
It's an amazing experience, isn't it? Right?
Absolutely, positively incredible. One of the coolest. And I've been twice now. And the first time I went was at MetLife there, the Giants and Jets stadium, and it was phenomenal. The walk on of both of the Army and the Navy and everything that's with that, the flyover pregame, just the buzz that's in the air, knowing how much this game means to the players on the field, everyone that served on either side, Army, Navy, the Commander-in-Chief trophy on the line this season, this is what Jeff Monken said to us last week. Mm-hmm. We're asking him about the American Championship, and he said, we want to win this game, and our guys are going to fight tooth and nail to the bitter end to win this game. He said, but next week, we play Navy, they would die to win that game. And he said, that is what we think about 365 days a year, beat Navy. And so that game has just a different level of meaning, purpose, and especially with the Commander-in-Chief trophy on the line. I've been there. I felt that. And then to hear them verbalize it, it's a goosebumps moment. And you want to talk about feeling like a true patriot, or like feeling like just proud of your country, go there for that event. And it is an event, not just a football game. It's tremendous. I will tell everybody this. That is a bucket list item to make it to an Army-Navy game. It's incredible.
Could not agree more. So he posted all of his stuff from his dinner last night, and the funniest thing in all of this, he's wearing my freaking sweatshirt that he stole from me. Punk kid. Hey, let's have a conversation about what's going on around here.
Let's do it.
How
about that schedule, by the way, real quick?
Holy smokes, dude.
I mean,
holy smokes.
Really? I mean, and I get it. Like, it's just the opposite of whatever this year was, right? Like, we know that you Alabama coming here, you're going to Tuscaloosa, you're going to South Carolina, Ole Miss is going to come here. Like, we know all those things, but the way it shook out and that stretch run down the end, holy cow. And I guess I had forgotten, which I think is just awesome, that Michigan coming to Norman next year. Sign me up for that. Like, that's going to be fabulous. But those final 7 weeks for Oklahoma, holy cow. That is a tough stretch of football, my friend.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And will they have receivers by the time we get to that game?
That's a great question.
It's very interesting because there's a split here. I think there's some that look at it and say, we're never going to replace all this. I look at it and say, it's a lot of dudes that were hurt last year. Maybe it's unfair to gauge any receiver based on Oklahoma's offense from last season. Oklahoma's in on a lot of the big names right now at the receiver position. But, Dusty, where should the fans' panic meter be whenever it comes to what's going on right now offensively?
I would say, in the words of Aaron Rodgers, relax. 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 Remember when he said that years back?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not telling you at some point there's not a time that maybe you should panic. Just wait and see what the portal brings in. Okay, I know what's departing, and I did not like seeing Brennan Thompson go into the portal either. I thought Brennan Thompson underutilized this year and could have a real potential to have a huge impact on the Oklahoma offense next season. Obviously, Nick Anderson, you and I talked about him last week. I just, before everyone freaks out and completely panics, as one door closes, another one opens. Let's just see what comes back this way via the portal. If they're not replenishing this with what feels like good potential prospects, then okay. I mean, I might be right there with you, freaking out. But I don't see how you can freak out too much before we know exactly what the picture looks like. And right now, we just don't know, right? We just don't know.
That's right. That's right. And listen, there's one thing that I do kind of get here too that we need to probably add. We call ourselves the home of Sooner fans. We cover this bad boy 24/7, 365. So instant knee-jerk reaction is always going to be our thing. But I don't think you can live in that world right now, because you can have a feeling about when a guy leaves for the portal and either has great things to say about the school or bad things to say. But in the end, Dusty, can we wait until it plays out and see what you get from a replacement perspective?
Which one has surprised you the most? That would be my question, because Jalil Farouk, Andrell Anthony, I mentioned Brendan Thompson, and we've talked about Nick Anderson. Is there one that surprises you more than the other?
Yeah. Now, tell me if you think
Hester.
this is crazy. I mean, Desan McCullough kind of surprises me, because I know it's a defensive guy.
Yeah.
But just, I don't know, dude. I thought in the few conversations I'd had with him, and knowing we had Xavier Brewer on this year, who was, the Cheetahs coach. He was the assistant DB's coach, and he coached Cheetahs. And they really liked each other. Like Desan McCullough was standing outside the door, freaking out, trying to get his attention while he was on with us. You saw this camaraderie that was there. And I thought, again, there's a term that we say a lot, when he was healthy, I thought he was really good.
Mm-hmm.
But so that one kind of surprised me a little bit. Brendan Thompson did, just because I don't know if he's going to land in a better spot than what he had here.
Yeah.
So those are the two right now that I look at and say, dang, man, I'm kind of surprised by that. The Nick Anderson smoke had started as soon as the season ended. I hated that. I thought he might stick around, but I understand that he didn't want to, and we'll see. Maybe he comes back in the portal. I doubt it. But I would say that of all these dudes right now, the one where I went, whoa, was last night Thompson, and then yesterday afternoon, Desan McCullough. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, Brendan Thompson surprised me. I just thought, especially with some of the other names that had already left, that leaves opportunity if you're Brendan Thompson. So that was surprising. Honestly, I don't know why. Maybe it's just, first of all, nothing shocks me anymore, and all these guys have different reasons. I don't know why. I just kind of thought Jalil Farouk might hang around. I'll be intrigued to see ultimately where he winds up. Didn't shock me massively, but a little surprised. Desan McCullough, the only thing I'll say is, and he's been banged up, he hasn't had, I don't think he's had the opportunity probably he thought whenever he left Indiana and came to Oklahoma. Is that fair? And,
I agree.
And I think part of that is because he's kind of an odd fit. You don't want to play him in a ton of space. He's not real rangy. He's got stiff, tight hips. He's probably best suited at or around the line of scrimmage, but he's long and he's lean. So it's like he's not great. You can't just play him as a true edge guy, because he doesn't have a lot of knockback and great against the run. He's just an interesting player and trying to figure out where to play him on the field. And I hope I'm being fair, because I'm not trying to say the guy has shown that he can make plays and be a player.
Sure.
It's just kind of hard to figure out where that is. Doesn't have great straight line speed. Again, anytime you have stiff hips, you worry about playing guy in too much of space. So I think that whenever he came from Indiana, there was this feeling that what was the guy's name? Was it Isaiah Simmons? That I believe that Coach V had at Clemson. He was a top 10 pick to Arizona. Oh, this is Isaiah Simmons. He's not Isaiah Simmons. He never was. And so it just never really played out and worked out to that level. So I'm sure he's going to go somewhere where he feels that he can get on the field and be a bit more of a contributor here next season. But what I'm really anxious to see is what's going to start coming back in from the portal. And that's, I think, what Sooner fans are hopeful we start to see and figure out here really quickly. A lot of names are leaving. I think that there's a hope that some start coming back this way.
This is a good nerd X and O question that I love from Doug and Mustang for you, Dusty.
Okay.
And in knowing that you are the king now, the czar of the telestrator. Question for Dusty. Doug writes, I feel like recently I've seen a lot of offenses where the center snaps the ball on the signal of the guard next to him rather than the quarterback. Is this something that's recent, or have I just not seen it in the past? If it is recent, what are some of the things that have led to it?
So it's a good question by Doug. It's not recent. It's an indicator. Okay, so especially you'll see this a lot when teams are on the road and you can't, whether it's the clap or it's a cadence, nobody can hear, right? So you've seen a lot of times quarterback will give a leg, right? Pick his leg up, drop it. Center looks underneath his, looks between his legs, sees that indicator, heads up, boom, going to snap it. Well, there's also indicators that the guard, he'll tap the center's leg, kind of just to indicate, okay, time to snap the football. Guard may look back, see the quarterback, he gets a tap, quarterback knows, then they snap it. So it's really just it's a way that for teams on the road can, get a snap count going without having to, utilize any kind of sound, because obviously you're on the road, it's noisy, and it becomes very difficult. So just a different indicator that's been used. I've seen it used for quite a while now. I don't know how long it goes back, but just have to find different ways to keep everybody on the same page of snap count whenever you're on the road, hostile environment, and it's tough to communicate with any kind of audible.
Do you like, because I feel, I say relatively new. Tim Tebow's the first one I remember. But, are you, I don't know why I just did it. Are you a fan of the clap? Is that the way to go in these especially hostile road environments?
I don't know. Again, if you can't hear, the clap doesn't work, right? So that's where you got to change it up. If it's super loud on the road, claps usually when you're at home or when you're not having to deal with that. That's just. I don't really have a preference one way or another.
Okay.
That's just what a lot of people go off of. Now, as a defensive lineman, I'm always looking for a tell, right? Like I'm always looking for, whatever it may be so that I can get the best get off I possibly can. Obviously, got to key the ball, watch the ball. But if you can get an indicator or if you can get a beat on somebody or, a quarterback, his snap count, his cadence, that's why you'll see dummy claps a lot of times, try to throw that defensive line off. That's what I'm trying to pick up on. And that's whenever you get a offense on the road and they can't utilize, clapping or whatever their cadence is, and you can then start to pick up on, whatever it may be to jump the snap count. That's when you can really, really take advantage. But I don't have going back to Tebow or wherever, I don't really necessarily have a preference one way or another. Whatever gets the offense on the same page, allows them to function at a high level is really fine by me. But I would say that a lot of teams utilize a clap, which is why they've now brought in something for the defense that you can't clap at all on the defensive side, or what is it? Concerting signals, I think, is the call that you'll get on the defensive side. Even if you're trying to, it's interesting because I've seen games this year where they're not trying to clap to simulate that and throw the offense off. They're literally just like trying to get getting attention of one of their players. Hey, but if you clap, I've seen several times this year they'll throw the flag.
We saw that called on Oklahoma.
Yes, we did.
A few times too late in the year. Patrick, I'm just giving you guys this final segment with Dusty for the week. Ask Dusty, writes Patrick, did you see many differences between what Brent Venables did defensively and what Zach Alley called in 2024?
That's a good question. I think that they share the same brain quite a bit of the time. So, I think that schematically there's a lot of similarities. I thought we still saw him be aggressive at times and come after the quarterback with some really good, well-timed, scheme blitzes. Thought we saw them do a good job disguising, trying to hold their coverage of what they're in. From what I saw, Plank, and I'd really love to hear what Teddy has to say, but from what I saw, I mean, a lot of similarities between the two, which I think was expected, right? Which is really the big reason why you wanted to have him come in, is that continuity that those two have, kind of seeing this defense and how they would attack opposing offenses through a very similar lens. So, for me personally, I didn't see anything that stood out that was a whole lot different, but to me, that was as expected.
Yeah, I felt so too. A couple more here. Dusty Dvoracek is with us, as he is every Tuesday and Wednesday. Dusty was in Bristol this week, taping a bunch of college football preview shows, and obviously he'll be Sports Center next week, all week, preparing you guys for. Can we talk about what game you're calling yet, or no?
Yeah, so Clemson, Texas next week.
Nice.
That's going to be a lot of fun. Cannot wait for that one. What a matchup. First time they've ever met. Cade Klubnik from Austin going back home. Him and Quinn Ewers squared off in the Texas high school playoffs where Cade Klubnik took down Quinn Ewers. Cade Klubnik, number 3 in the country in passing touchdowns at 33. Texas has the number 1 pass defense in college football. Just found out last night, Jahdae Barron is the recipient of the Thorpe Award, best defensive back in the country, and they've got 19 picks, which is good enough for third best in the country. So I just think that matchup has got the chance to be a really, really good and fun one. Michael Taff, the excellent former walk-on safety for Texas, high school teammates with Cade Klubnik, so I'm sure there'll be some good trash talking going on all week. And, Dabo Swinney, man, I mean, the guy, I think this is his 7th playoff appearance that he's made, 2 national championships.
Right.
Can he pull a big upset as a 12 seed? I can't wait to find out. And it's just going to be a great atmosphere down in Austin. So super psyched about that one. We'll be on at, I believe, 3 o'clock local there in Austin on Saturday. And then I'm doing the Alamo Bowl, which is going to be a good one, Colorado and BYU.
Love that game.
All those players are playing. That's going to be the following Saturday, ABC Prime, 6:30 at night. And then we're also doing the Gator Bowl, January 2nd. Will be the only game on that entire day with Ole Miss and a 9-3 Duke squad. So we're going to be busy. How excited are you for the home venue playoff games next weekend?
I'm very pumped. And I think all of them are going to be fun games. I know the spreads wouldn't tell you that. I have way too much excitement for Saturday night's Tennessee-Ohio State game.
I was going to say, is that the one, I'm not calling for the home team or the road underdog as a winner in my game, but of the playoff games, I kind of feel like Tennessee, and I picked Ohio State preseason. I like Ohio State, but I think Tennessee's real good. I've had them twice. Their defensive line's as deep as there is in the country. Their defense is really good, especially third down, and they run the ball extremely well with Dylan Sampson. Defense and a run game travel well, and when you look at Ohio State, the offensive line injuries, issues they've had this season, can Tennessee's D-line take advantage of that? Now, it's going to be cold, but that one just kind of feels like to me, not only is it 2 massive brands, going to be a great uniform game and a great venue, that one feels like, I don't know, Ryan Day and Ohio State better get over that Michigan hangover and have it strapped up. I think Josh Heupel's squad's going to come in looking to win that game.
I do too. I can't wait for it, man. I'm overly juiced. All right, here's a text from Kason K for Dusty. He writes, I would like to know Dusty's take in general on the transfer portal in the era of the 12-team playoff. In my opinion, player availability will be more of a slow drip. I don't see starters on playoff teams entering while playing for a natty, and it's hard to imagine all of these teams retaining 99 to 100% of their players.
So, yeah, it's a great. That's my favorite text today. So, I hate the calendar in general. I hate the calendar. I think what Lane Kiffin said this past week is spot on. I think the calendar is stupid. It's ridiculous for everybody. I mean, The transfer portal, to me, should not open up until this season's over. And I get it. I understand. Got to be enrolled in school. You got to match the calendars. I get all that. Figure it out. I don't know. Figure it out, because it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. And especially like bowl games. I just wish we could do all this after seasons were concluded. But it's obviously the way that it is. I think, and I think it's, so we're having this discussion on my show yesterday. The strategy of putting a roster together when the right time to really be aggressive in the portal and when to pause, wait, and see exactly what's going to be in there. Because I agree with the texter. I think there's going to be a second wave of players that come in after these teams start getting eliminated all the way up to the national championship game until the season's over. And I think that that's going to happen. I've talked with people, and I've talked to people that in the know about the transfer portal that have told me, yes, that's coming. That's going to happen. There's going to be players that are playing on these teams that are competing for a national championship that are going to get in the portal. And so it's like, when do you get uber aggressive? When you don't know exactly what the full market looks like. And that's where, like, with NFL, and I know we always compare college and the NFL. Well, at least in the NFL, when free agency opens, you know exactly who's a free agent. That's not the way the portal is. And there's obviously this window for guys to decide and determine. And then now you throw this new wrinkle, this new layer of this expanded playoff with these teams that have had a lot of success and players that are going to want to get in, dip their toe in those portal waters. I think it's going to be fascinating, because I expect there's going to be quite a few players that come off of these rosters and come off of these teams. How many teams have already spent their money that they have for free agency, so to speak, in the portal, and how many have saved to see exactly what what that pool looks like? I think that's all a new aspect of the strategy of how you compile a roster and when you get aggressive and go after players that, quite frankly, we haven't seen before, because this is the first year of this expanded playoff.
That's right. That's so true, man. By the way, as we've been talking, last night Brendan Thompson enters the portal. Dusty, Brendan Thompson has committed to Mississippi State today.
Okay.
So there's a relationship there with Jeff Lebby. I think Coach Lebs was pretty key in bringing him here. And it looks like Jeff's going to go get a couple of guys that maybe he brought to Oklahoma to help him out at Mississippi State. I just hope Brendan Thompson can stay healthy, because if he does, he's got the kind of speed that can be a massive difference maker.
I'm actually kind of wondering how many more may do that, I just know Coach Lebby built a lot of great relationships with a lot of players. I mean, it's no secret that that's a decent chance where Jackson Arnold ends up, whether it's Mississippi State or Auburn. Sounds like it's kind of getting whittled down to those two. And Jeff Lebby developed those relationships. He recruited those guys, and if those guys get in the portal, you would think that he's going to lean on those previous relationships and try to bring them down there to Starkville. So that's a good get for him. He just lost his quarterback, Michael Van Buren, which I know he's not excited about. They do get his quarterback, Blake Shapen, back for an additional year, but it's fast moving in the portal, is it not? I mean, just minute by minute, you got to keep hitting refresh. And real quick, I've got to touch on this with you.
Go ahead, bud.
Bill Belichick's in college football.
I still can't believe it's real.
Belichick is in college football as the head coach in North Carolina. How crazy is that?
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy. I was on off campus yesterday. I was filling in for Jacob, and we had just come off. I was with E.J. Manuel, and we had just come off, Dusty, the press conference. And I'm sitting there while we're doing the show, and I'm watching the press conference, and I'm listening to the audio, and it's not connecting what's happening. I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then you heard him say, they said my first word was beat Duke, which I thought was hilarious because his dad had been at North Carolina for a long time. I can't wait to see if it works. They're going to give him a lot of money to go out in the portal too.
It's about control. He's going to have complete control. Brought in Michael Lombardi. He's going to run this thing like an NFL system as much as possible. And I think that, I don't know if it works. I'm fascinated to see, like everyone else. There's part of me that thinks it is going to work. There's part of me that thinks it's not going to work. I don't know exactly. But the one thing I'll say that gives him a chance, and if you're a North Carolina fan, well, you got to be excited. They're telling you, we're pot committed, we're all in. because he asked for the moon financially to go get players, to put a staff together, to have complete control, and he's gotten all of that. So North Carolina's saying we're not just a basketball school, we're a football school. We're serious about getting good, and we're going to financially commit. I think it's going to be one of the biggest storylines of next season. Bill Belichick. TCU first game. Sonny Dykes, Bill Belichick. Who the heck would have had that on their bingo card when just a week ago? I mean, this is just – it's crazy. It's good for college football, man. It's going to bring in even more eyeballs. It is.
Hey, do you think – we were debating this. Good for college football, right? Great for North Carolina. Good for the ACC too, right?
Huge for the ACC.
Yeah.
Jim Phillips, I was saying this yesterday. He was sitting back when this news was announced on Wednesday, smoking a big old fat cigar, Tony Soprano style, right?
You should have been.
I mean, you got Florida State backtracking now. I mean, Michael Alford, my boy, he's saying, we never said we wanted out of the ACC. Like, come on, Michael. Michael, you filed suit against them, Michael. You're suing them to get out. All of a sudden, they want to stay. Clemson wants to stay. Yeah. Bill Belichick wants in. Jim Phillips, the ACC, they're loving this news out of Chapel Hill.
Good stuff. Dusty, enjoy the concert, man. I really appreciate your time as always, and have a great weekend with the wife and kiddos.
You are the man. Enjoy Army-Navy. You enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you next week, pal.
Will do. See you, bro. Dusty Dvoracek. I could legit talk to him all freaking day.